The stock market closing basically flat today. It's a sign that it's hard to predict what Osama's killing means for the economy. The wars have cost more than $1 trillion, and $20 billion of that has actually gone to Pakistan since 9/11, and that aid has increased since President Obama took office. Is it time to stop paying off Pakistan? Joining us now, FXBIZ Global advisors David Malpass and Peter Schiff from Euro Pacific Capital. David, first to you, because you used to work in the Treasury Department. You handled emerging markets like Pakistan in the 80s. Should we just cut off aid to these people? They clearly didn't help with regard to bin Laden.
I don't think we should have a policy of cutting off aid. We should have the aid be directed in our interests and in their interests. You know, it's good for the United States to have people in Pakistan doing better economically on the ground with jobs, with higher incomes. That
will our money help that happen?
It would if we used it right. I think too much of it goes through the IMF, the World Bank, and it hasn't really worked.
And Peter, you know, I've been following money going to third world countries for decades now, and I almost never seen the money go right. It always ends up in the wrong hands.
Yeah, you know, it's never a good thing when our politicians lend money to other politicians. You know, I think Ron Paul summed it up great one time when he gave his speech. He said foreign aid is when you take money from poor people in rich nations and give it to rich people in poor nations. You know, I'm opposed to foreign aid for constitutional reasons, and I'm opposed to it because we're broke. I mean, the money that we're giving away, we're borrowing from China. Yeah. I mean, we're borrowing it from China, or we're printing it up.
Yeah, David, that is the problem. I mean, in the best of times, it's questionable, but now?
That's right. We can't afford it, and it's.
I don't want to put you on one side because you're not. You're not on the opposite side of Peter and I.
I really think we need a pragmatic foreign policy that's in our interest, and that's not what we've had in the past. The State Department programs have been weak and have oftentimes, whether in Egypt or Pakistan or in other countries worldwide, really undercut U.S. interests. And so that needs to be either stopped or, as Peter is saying, or examined and fundamentally changed.
Peter, don't you think we have to be a player of some sort in this world? I mean, it is a dangerous world. We have our own interests in this world. Don't we have to? Are you for just shrinking back entirely and not dealing with the world at all?
Well, I think we are dealing with the world right now.
No, I know right now we are, but I'm asking what you recommend for the future going forward.
I think we have to focus on more serious structural and economic issues here at home. You know, both David and I, you know, we both ran for Senate in 2010. Unfortunately, neither one of us won. But I think we understand that the real threats to our economy come from within. They come from Washington, D.C. They come from the Fed.
But you're not, Peter, you're
Congress.
not answering the question. I'm really going to put it to you. What do we do going forward? If you had won that Senate seat, would you have advised just pulling back from the world entirely and focusing on our matters here?
I think we pull back militarily. I think we have too many commitments around the world that we can't afford, and in many cases we might be starting more problems than we're solving. So since we're broke, I want to go from the premise of let's spend less money on everything, including the military.
David, is that a good idea?
I think that's right. You know, I'd like to see sound money, a strong dollar, lower tax rates, less federal spending, and we would get
just
more.
The opposite of what we have now.
That's right.
Case by case.
It's a full upheaval in the way Washington works, and that would get us more jobs. That's the bottom line. We're just not doing it the right way right now. We're running basically a reverse economic policy. We've got interest rates so low that people saving money don't get paid any interest, and the money. Who's the beneficiary of that? The big borrower. That's the U.S. government. So the sucking sound is from people who save right into the government, and it doesn't work.
Peter, we only have 10 seconds. Any optimism about the future going forward on our economic changes here?
Unfortunately, no. As long as we pursue reckless monetary policy and reckless fiscal policy, we're going to have more inflation, we're going to have more unemployment, we're going to have a weaker economy, we're going to have a falling dollar, and I think we're headed for an economic collapse. And the death of bin Laden, while it may be a good thing, certainly it's not going to change the disastrous course our nation is on.
David, quickly.
There is time. We can change. This is a great country. If we had a strong dollar and we had less federal spending, I think it could really be turned around.
But we don't have either.
Two former Senate candidates. Thank you for reminding me of that. Peter Schiff, Euro Capital, David Malpass, and FXBIZ Global. Great to see you both. Thank you very much. Well, our viewers...